Welcome to Agenda Edina, a program summarizing the actions taken at City Hall that affect you most. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty. The Edina Public Works Department recently wrapped up a service line inventory, documenting materials used for water service lines throughout the city. This project was part of a federal requirement under the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's revised lead and copper rule. The goal was to identify any lead or galvanized service lines requiring replacement to protect public health. The revisions required water suppliers to complete an inventory and send it to the Minnesota Department of Health. Edina submitted its findings in late August, reporting no lead service lines, 2 galvanized lines that require replacement, 906 with unknown material, and more than 13,000 non-lead lines. Since August, Public Works has finished evaluating the lines of unknown material.
So what we did was we started looking at all of our records that we had on hand. And once we exhausted all those records, then we started physically going out to houses and did what we call hydro excavating at the curb stop. The curb stop is where the city ownership and the home ownership is separated, which there we identify the material type.
Even though the inventory is complete, the city is required by federal law to notify property owners whose service lines were listed as unknown or galvanized requiring replacement in the August report. Those letters are expected to hit mailboxes within the next few weeks.
So the city has 2 galvanized lines that need replacement on the homeowner side. We've made contact with those residents. We have a contractor lined up already, so as soon as we can just get the scheduling straightened out, we're going to get those lines replaced at city cost for those 2 residents.
Learn more at edinamn.gov/service line inventory. The city is seeking federal funding for a study to improve at-grade railroad crossings in Edina. A rail line owned by CPKC Railroad runs through the city, and while many crossings are grade separated with streets going over or under the tracks, 7 still remain at street level with varying levels of safety measures. To address this issue, the city would like to complete a railroad crossing safety action plan to see what can be done to improve the situation at each of the 7 at-grade crossings. Until recently, most trains passing through Edina operated during the daytime. Now, the railroad has begun operating these trains at night, which might be disturbing residents since the train horn rule requires engineers to sound train horns at least 15 seconds before entering public grade crossings. Eliminating crossings or making grade separation improvements would remove the need for trains to sound their horns. At crossings where that cannot be done, other safety improvements could be evaluated to make the crossing safer.
We have to first study if we can eliminate any of the crossings, and if we can't, then what can we do to mitigate the risks? To mitigate the risks are pavement markings to show where cars are supposed to stop before they cross the tracks. We can do flashing lights. We can do crossing signage or just overhead arms that stop traffic when a train comes through. So those are really the first steps if we want to consider a quiet zone on our 7 crossings within town.
The city has requested federal funding of $200,000 for creation of the Railroad Crossing Safety Action Plan, which is estimated to cost $250,000. Some have asked if the city can establish quiet zones in the meantime. The city does not have that authority, and the process to establish one can take years.
So if the city wants to establish a quiet zone, that has to be approved by the Federal Railroad Administration. They have to look at the mitigation risk tactics that we want to do at each crossing. We would have to implement those mitigation risk improvements, and then we would be able to implement that quiet zone with them and through them. That process is a multi-year endeavor to get to an officially approved quiet zone.
The city does not expect to hear back from the Federal Railroad Administration about the funding request until March 2025. If the grant is not awarded, there will be no funding available for the study in 2025. The City of Edina and other owners of the South Metro Public Safety Training Facility recently celebrated the start of construction on a new tactical training building. A groundbreaking ceremony was held at the site on Braemar Boulevard October 15th. The new 6,524 square foot L-shaped building will sit on the south side of the property with garage doors at each end for police training. Most of the building will be one level, but a mezzanine with stairs will allow for second-story training scenarios. It's designed to fit 3 vehicles at once, which will be especially helpful during winter training. The facility will be used by the owner agencies, Edina, Bloomington, Eden Prairie, and the Metropolitan Airports Commission. Other local and federal agencies will be able to rent the new facility for an hourly fee. Training will include building searches, use of force techniques, and traffic enforcement. No live ammunition will be used in the facility. Only simulated firearms will be used there. In addition to a bathroom and mechanical room, the building will mostly offer open space for flexible training needs.
For law enforcement, though, building searches, a lot of times you need larger rooms. You need different doorway angles. You need different entry points or exit points. And this building is going to be customizable to allow us that opportunity to be able to set up different layouts, to be able to change to the different tactics that we need to train on.
The new building is expected to be complete sometime this winter. The general election will be held Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting is underway at City Hall with extended hours. Those hours are 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday, November 2nd, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sunday, November 3rd, and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday, November 4th. There is no voting at City Hall on Election Day. Voters must go to the polls to cast ballots that day. For more information on the election, visit edinamn.gov/election. Thank you for watching this episode of Agenda Edina. I'm your host, Dorothea Marty.